More bad news for Matt Gaetz coming out of the Daily Beast last night. They looked into his Venmo transactions, which, and I can't stress this enough, he had public as a congressman. I'm realizing right now I should probably make mine private, but I'll do that as soon as the show is done. Anyway, for right now, what you need to know is that in 2 late night Venmo transactions in May of 2018, Representative Matt Gaetz sent his friend, the accused sex trafficker Joel Greenberg, $900. The next morning, over the course of 8 minutes, Greenberg used the same app to send 3 young women varying sums of money. In total, the transactions amounted to $900. Now that by itself has like 6 different sketchy, suspicious things, but it gets worse. The memo field for the first of Gaetz's transactions to Greenberg was titled Test. In the second, the Florida GOP congressman wrote, hit up blank. But instead of a blank, Gaetz wrote a nickname for one of the recipients. When Greenberg then made his Venmo payments to these 3 young women, he described the money as being for tuition, school, and school. And all of that is like what I would do in the first pass on a screenplay about congressional corruption. I would make it better because that's too on the nose. But yeah, Brett, this isn't helping Matt Gaetz's case. Those are pretty clear. They're pretty clear about every bit of what was going on right there.
The ingredients in this are so great because it takes a certain level of hubris and inexperience with being held responsible for any kind of hypocrisy or like bad behavior in your entire life. Like Matt Gaetz's dad was a high-ranking political figure in that same area. This is the reason that Matt Gaetz is in Congress, despite, and this is his daddy helped him with everything along the way. So he is, as much as he pretends to be party of the people, this guy has the coke dripping out of his nose, like the coke smoke puffing out of his face is worth more in dollars than all the people he pretends to give a crap about. Yeah. Like that's it. I'm not saying he does coke. I'm saying I know he's done tons of coke.
Yeah, look, there's a lot of politicians that don't really care about their constituents, but I think some are better at pretending. And look, I think he's effective enough at convincing MAGA heads that he's in favor of them because their standard for who has their back is very performative and very shallow. That said, he doesn't care. That's why when we found out that he was thinking about stopping being a congressman to either run for a higher office or work for Newsmax, whichever. No, you don't have all of those different choices because of your deep commitment to the people. You have a deep commitment to yourself and what you think will give you a higher profile. That's what you have. And anyway, let's run through.
It shows that it's the performative aspect of it. Mm-hmm. Like, yes, that the other side of that same coin is, so it proves that you don't care about the people, but it proves that you consider being a news actor the same exact thing as being a congressperson. Yeah, you never even considered that it would be about doing anything legislative to help anyone. You always wanted it. You're admitting that you're an actor.
For him, what was he as a congressman? He went on Fox News and Newsmax. He occasionally wore a gas mask on the House floor. He treated it exactly as if he was, Jesse Waters or whatever. That said, I want to give you a few more details from the Daily Beast story. Greenberg and Gaetz are also connected on Venmo to at least one other woman that Greenberg paid with taxpayer funds using a government-issued credit card. Seminole County auditors flagged hundreds of those payments as questioned or unaccounted for, and in total found more than $300,000 in suspicious or unjustified expenses. Now, that is mainly about Greenberg. The fact that they're both connected to this woman is what brings Gaetz in. But Greenberg, we know, has a ton of problems, seemingly far worse than Gaetz, certainly in scale, if not in, overall character or whatever. And by the way, at least what's being revealed here, unless it's confirmed that one of those women is underage, which I haven't specifically seen that yet. There are allegations about underage women. I don't know about in this particular case. These are the sorts of things that hypothetically could be legal. They're not right now. Philosophically, I feel like in some sort of regulated sense they should be, but they're not. And he's a congressman, and he is using an intermediary to break the law all of this is so dirty, combined with the hand surgeon potentially pushing for legislation, using escorts to get influence with him. This is exactly what congressmen are not supposed to be doing, allowing themselves to be so, look, let's keep it real, cheaply bought, $900. Matt Gaetz is rich. And this is the sort of thing that plausibly could be getting influence over him from multiple individuals. So anyway, a lot of people looking at this, accountants who are doing an audit for the county, are saying the arrogance of these guys, they just felt that they were above the law. I've never seen it this bad. I should acknowledge that, look, put some respect on the guy's name. He's not just a hand surgeon, he's a marijuana entrepreneur. That's true, and that's really where the trouble comes from. But anyway, lots of problems. And for Matt Gaetz, this is a guy who is every bit as arrogant and entitled as we have said, and it is going to come back to bite him because he either wasn't smart enough to know to cover his tracks better or didn't feel like he needed to cover his tracks better for him to so publicly and obviously do this on Venmo.
There's a new ad out that just goes through. It's called, yesterday on Twitter, Republican pedo gate or whatever it was trending. Like GOP pedos, and that's pedo ring, and that was it. You don't realize that tracing back many, as much as QAnon says it's all Democrats, like the ones we can prove are all Republican. Weird. That are doing this weird pages and sex, not molesting, but also like sexually harassing minors, doing terrible things to kids, and there's a paper trail. They're so stupid about it. That's the thing. Is like, do you think like you're giving too much credit to politicians if you think they can hide it in some kind of code? This guy's like, hit up girl, and then the money goes public on Venmo, and that same amount of money goes to the girls that they're talking about.
And to say that it's for tuition specifically is just such a cliche. Like, it might even be true in this case, but it's also a TV cliche for this.
Because I taught her a thing or two, like gross. And just think about that. Like, Stay Puft Matt Gaetz is just like, I'm gonna go hit up girls and buy them.
Yeah, and then that was what he was using his time for.
So bad.
Look, and the only other thing I want to add is that some of the journalists behind that story for the Daily Beast have said there's more coming. They put that out immediately after that story. This is not the last thing. They are continuing to work on this. So look, it's not looking good. Matt Gaetz had another aide step down as legislative director is out. He said he worked for Matt Gaetz to write legislation, not to work for TMZ. And I get the second part, but like, you don't go to work for Matt Gaetz to write legislation. That's not at all true. And also, you have the billboard in his district of saying he wants to date your daughter or something. That's not gonna help him. It's just a lot of bad stuff for Matt Gaetz. It's not looking great for him. Adam Kinzinger is asking for him to resign. That doesn't necessarily count for much in the modern day GOP, but you do have an actual Republican congressman saying he should resign. So it's just all a lot in one day.
And people in the TYT network are offering some pretty interesting opinions. First, Farron Cousins from Ring of Fire is from that district, and he's like, this place is ruby red. So in terms of people running interference and defending Matt Gaetz, they don't need Matt Gaetz to have that position to keep it a Republican position.
True.
So he says that's why folks aren't like throwing themselves in front of the bus, besides like Jim Jordan. And we can all say, like, when it comes to, trying to cover up and dig your claws into the dais and the halls of Congress as people are trying to pull you out because of you being complicit in some kind of really pervy, horrible sex crime stuff.
Yeah.
Those are the only ones defending him. But then we had Ryan Grimm on there who said, like, unless he's convicted, there's nothing that's gonna have him leave. And then also he's kind of more of a hero in this area of the panhandle because he's doing all that stuff that Trump, Matt Gaetz is nowhere near as skilled at being in front of a camera as Donald Trump is, and does nowhere near as charismatic in all those horrible, terrible, no good, very bad ways. But folks are like, yeah, go get him,
exactly.
Get some.
Yeah, Trump has normalized a lot, and this sort of behavior is exactly one of the things that's been normalized.
And
that said,
last
final
point
point on this.
Final point is on Fox News, as all of this is happening, as Venmo Gate is happening, Fox News is going and showing like, hey, look at this stuff from Tucker or from Joe Biden's kid and like a sex thing we found on his laptop. And so they're showing that, which is essentially an analog. Missing one very important thing is that Hunter Biden is not a sitting congressman.
Well, that's the first of two very important aspects. The other is that I don't even think they're alleging that anything illegal was done with Hunter Biden.
Yeah.
He filmed a sex tape. He's not a politician. And that was the night of this big story. Tucker Carlson is such a tiny little weenie. That's all he is. For more political news breakdowns, interviews, stories of activism, and me trying my hardest to care about the occasional big celebrity news story, subscribe to our YouTube channel at youtube.com/thedamagereport. And you can ring the bell wherever it is so you don't miss anything.